Hello and welcome to Strings of Frustration, a video channel about learning to play the violin. So I have no musical experience. I never played an instrument. I never learned to read music. But I got this violin from my lovely wife 2 months ago for my birthday. I did ask for it. And I've been playing like half an hour for the last 2 months. Now, this is a really cheap violin. It's like €100 from an online shop. And I started watching, when I was learning the violin, I started watching YouTube channels and they all say, never buy a cheap violin, spend at least €500 in a decent luthier shop and buy the real thing because it's going to be much easier to learn to play the violin and cheap instruments will be unplayable. But nevertheless, I got this. I got this because it's entry level, I don't want to spend a lot of money on something I maybe do for a week and then just throw in a corner and never touch again. So for me, it's less stressful if it's just a cheap instrument. So what's good about it? What's bad about it? Overall, I think it's pretty decent. It looks straight. I don't know a lot about it, but it looks straight. It looks it's real wood. It isn't plywood. So that's good. What's bad about it? This is the bow I got with it. It's just completely crooked. You can't get any tension on it. The hairs are synthetic. They aren't horse hairs, and they're just warped all over. It's a bit of a mess. The bow is really crap. It's cheap. It isn't a nice bow. I also got a case with it, which is okay. It holds the violin basically. I got some rosin with it, which is really dry. In the beginning, I couldn't get the bow to play any sound because it was just too dry. I used some really rough sandpaper to scratch it up, and then I was able to produce some sound, get some rosin on the bow and produce some sounds. So what else did I buy to help myself to learn the violin is this nice sticker which shows all the notes, which I can recommend. I bought mute to make the sound a bit less for my neighbors and the rest of my family. But I must say it dulls the sound and it makes it harder to hear the notes and to hear if you're playing right or not. So I'm not really a fan of that. I bought this cheap shoulder rest to hold the violin a bit steadier, which it does what it does. It's okay. I also bought a digital tuner. This little thing. The brand is Faisley. I bought it it was a promotion. It was like €3. It was really cheap, but it does what it's supposed to do. It has a function especially for violin, so it knows the strings and the notes they have to be. The brand is Faisley. It's the same brand as the violin. The violin is Faisley 5400, whatever that means. I think it's the local brand of the music store. And what you do, you just clip it on. It has to be clipped on because it works on vibration. And then if you play a note, it will tell you if it's the correct note or not. So after that, I bought myself a new bow, which is a Vingobow. It's from Amazon. It's a carbon fiber bow. It's got real horsehair, Mongolian horsehair, it's just a lot better. It isn't expensive. No, it's €65 online here in Belgium, in Europe. It's cheaper in the US. But it's a lot. It's really improved. It's much nicer to play. It's just sturdier. It's better made. It isn't expensive, great bow. It doesn't cost €3,000. But it's a level up to what it came with the violin, which was really crap. So I'll play a bit just to compare the two bows. I don't know if you can hear any difference on it. Like I can't, but it is nicer to play. So this is the old bow. I'll just play open strings. I've only been playing for 2 months, so it's not like I'm any good at it. So that's the old bow. And this is the new bow. Okay, so I had a new bow, great, I kept practicing. Another thing that I found very cheap about it is the strings. They sound very metallic. Like, I don't have a great ear for music yet. Maybe I'll get that when I play for a few years. But the sound, the strings sound very metallic to me. Definitely the E string. It just sounds very metallic. And also the D and the G string have this humming to them. I don't know if you can hear it, but I don't know if the strings or it's just me playing wrong. It can be a lot of things. But I decided to buy some new strings online. I got this Pirastro Tonica. They were recommended by quite a few luthiers as a budget string that's still nice, it's still good. So that should be a level up to what's now on the violin. I'll play bits, I'll replace them, and I'll play another bit, and I hope you can hear the difference. But while I was looking at to replace the string, I noticed that the bridge is it's badly made. The bridge isn't built well. It's already a bit warped at the E. It's too high. My strings are too high from the fingerboard, which makes it more difficult to play. It's too thick. It doesn't fit right on the violin. There's a lot of space. The bridge is also not centered on the violin. It's a bit more towards the G side of the body of the violin. So when I change the strings, I'll try to fix that and put it a bit more centered and maybe try to adapt it a bit so that it's tighter to the violin's body. So the bridge isn't nice. So while buying the strings on the website, I saw this, which is a €2.5 new bridge. But of course you have to fit it. Now, fitting a violin bridge is normally done by a professional luthier who has like 20 years of practice, done it 1,000 times, and it's really an art form. But my question is, can I fit my own bridge on the violin, and can I do it better than the one that's on here? I'm not going to do it as well as a real luthier. Like, I'm not going to have the practice or the skill, but can I do it better than the one that's on it now? So I'll replace the strings first, compare the two, and then maybe I'll give building my own bridge a go, and I'll show us step by step on how to build your own bridge on a budget without any experience and not the proper tools. So that's going to be interesting. So keep watching. So I'm going to replace the old strings with the new ones, and let's hope that makes a difference. I started out by removing the old strings that came with the violin. Pretty straightforward, just loosen the peg and pull the string out. I wanted to make sure that the pegs went in the same spot as they came out of, so I made a little paper to keep them organized. So with all those strings gone, I cleaned up the violin. So this is the bridge that was on the violin. You can see it's pretty cheap. It's cheap wood, it's really soft, it's rough, it's really, they didn't put a lot of effort in it. The €2.5 bridge I bought online is already better quality of wood, so yeah, that's saying something. I sanded the bridge a little bit to make sure it fits better and take a bit of the rough edges off. Nothing drastic. I'm just going to keep it as is for the moment. I measured out the position of the bridge both horizontally and vertically to make sure it's perfectly centered. So I'm measuring the exact center of the violin to make sure the bridge is exactly what it should be. So this is the exact center of the violin. And I measured the center of the bridge itself as well, so I can mark out the edges. And this should be the right position for the bridge. So then I started attaching the new strings to the violin. Pretty straightforward. There are quite a few good tutorials online. Just make sure you do it properly. Take your time. Make sure the strings aren't twisted or bent in an extreme fashion. I use some graphite to loop the spots where the strings touch the wood. And once I got a few strings in, I was able to pop up the bridge and put it in the right position. Applying some peg soap to make sure the pegs move smoothly and don't slip. And now adding the final string, the A string. And with all the strings in place, I can start applying pressure to the bridge and readjusting it as I go to make sure it stays in the right position. It has a tendency to move every time you tighten the pegs, so you really need to adjust the bridge the whole time to make sure it stays where it should be and is completely upright and touching the body as good as possible. And then tuning the violin, which took quite a while because they are new strings and I think probably the first weeks you have to keep tightening them. And this is the before and after of the bridge. And here you can see that it fits a bit better to the body, which should produce a better sound. Okay, so the new strings are on the violin. Let's give it a try. I'll first let you hear a piece with the old strings, and then I'll play the same with the new strings. So that were the old strings, and these are the new strings. I do think they sound nicer, they sound fuller, it's just a nicer sound. So yeah, I think it's the money well spent. I'll also let you hear a piece, Allegro by Suzuki, the man himself. First on the old strings and then on the new strings. So yeah, this is the old strings. And these are the new strings. quite a few false notes, but I've only been playing for 2 months, so bear with me. Yeah, I do think it sounds nicer. I think it's an improvement. So I have upgraded, I think, quite a few things on this violin with a limited budget. This is what I spent. So this is a list of everything I bought. I try to be as budget friendly as possible, and you can find link to the products under the YouTube video. So that's pretty cheap, I think, to get into violin playing. So is it worthwhile? Should you buy a cheap violin? For me, it's an easy entry. It's cheap to start with. It's, the stuff I did with this violin, like changing the strings and stuff like that, I wouldn't dare to do that with a violin that's €500. It's just more relaxed for me to try stuff with a cheap one and find out like what's wrong with it, and evolve with your violin. So would I recommend buying a cheap violin? I think if you have the budget and you're really sure you're gonna do it for years to come, yeah, sure, buy a more expensive violin. Go to a luthier, spend €500, get something decent. But if you're a bit unsure if it's gonna last, if you really want to do it, yeah, why not buy a cheap violin with some cheap adjustments? I think it's playable, at least for a starter. Like in the beginning, you're gonna sound crap anyway. It's not gonna sound nice. And is it more difficult? Yeah, perhaps it is. But then again, it's learning to play the violin. If you want something easy, yeah, don't start playing the violin. Just do something else. Get another hobby, because it's just a difficult instrument. Maybe this one is a bit more difficult, but yeah, I can't compare. I'm all sure if I stick with it and I keep playing for months or years, I'll buy a new decent violin. I'll spend the money, and I'll make another video then. I'll compare and tell you, is it that much better? But for now, I'm going to be playing on this one as it is. Maybe I'll replace the bridge and give that a go of trying to make my own bridge. But for now, I'm going to stick with this and practice a bit more. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned something. If you want another video about me changing the bridge, just let me know. Or if you have any more comments or questions, just post them below. And I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.